Our brand is very focused on the narrative and the stories that we're telling, and so we are focused on the Black experience. We're focused on filling in that white space in what you would call Americana fashion. We're focused on history, remembrance, and transference of family stories down the generations. And so when you look at the Black experience here and how it reaches over to the islands and the continent, we are telling that cohesive and that collective story. And so a lot of times that ends up being a story that is rooted in the past, but that has currency in the present.
Hi, my name is Akuya Shabaka.
And I'm Rebecca Henry.
And we are House of AAMA, the mother-daughter design duo.
And we're hanging out today with Essence.
Our creative process, specifically in the studio, is a very interesting way of thinking about AAMA, and I've never thought about it that way, but really, I would say that as storytellers and as a brand that focuses a lot on like the research component and the folklore that anchors the collections, when we get into the studio, that's really where the fabrication exploration comes into play. That's really where we start to think about what will be the textiles that we create. Specifically being here in downtown Los Angeles, we're immediately where our manufacturers are, our production is, because we produce everything here. And so here, when we get into the studio, we're actually going outside of the studio a lot because we're on ground, going to these different artisans and our different manufacturers to produce these pieces.
I believe our studio is very task-oriented when we come into the studio. Akuya is the project manager, and so she really sets out like what our daily agenda is going to be and the task and the, the milestones that we have to hit daily, basically, daily, weekly.
My mother is much more in the studio on an everyday basis, and I would say that she has an even deeper relationship with the materiality and the people that we work with on a day-to-day, being just head of like the production, and it really stems from when we were creating the pieces in her living room, and now we brought the living room component to the studio. When you look at AAMA, you'll see nostalgic textiles, but then you'll also see like timeless references as well, and also contemporary designs, just even paying homage to me and my mother's like age difference and our age gap as well, that I think anchors and makes the brand even more beautiful. And these are the ethos. House of AAMA is essentially like the home in which we're able to explore who we are as a people and how we want to express ourselves in the world. My
maternal line is from Louisiana, Shreveport in particular. My mom is from there, and all of my mom's family is from there. And my mom is actually like an archivist and a genealogist and has done extensive research on that family ancestry. And so we know exactly like where the plantation is that my family was on. Shreveport is Shreveport. It's a port city. And so it was like a dropping spot where you had African people, and African people were enslaved during the time in which we became, dominant there. All of the women in my family sew and do handicrafts, quilt work, needlework, all kinds of work with the hands. Our family is Southern legacy, and so when we decided to focus in on storytelling in our brand, we looked in our own family histories and started to tell those stories.
Similar to what we're doing with our brand, where we really decided that this would be a point of healing for us and exploration, where each collection we're really looking at either stories that are known to us or stories that we want to unpack deeper. I remember when we did our Amatel's collection, there was a lot of stories that I didn't really have like all of the details for in terms of my ancestral lineage in the Caribbean. And so I was able to take this time to really speak to my aunties and people who are getting much older to really try to repair these stories. And I use that as an example as to how other people can use their creativity.
We have Zora Neale Hurston over there, and she's one of what you would call our sheroes. And it was because Zora Neale Hurston was an author, but she was also an archaeologist. She was a folkloricist. She was a researcher. And it was really her mission and purpose in life to really explore Black identity, in particular in the South, because she knew that in the South is where really we had the root of our culture before even the Jim Crow era, in which we were being dispersed. And so it was at its strongest there in terms of the Africanisms. Our brand is also very focused on character and development and building out environments. And so we're very inspired from her personal narrative and the character development, and we've taken that type of focus into our collections when we develop characters and themes and environments and how we build them out. As the parent to be flexible in my role as the parent, and I've learned that I need to accept advice sometimes from my daughter in the role that she's in as the project manager and the person that really makes the machine run. So I've had to humble myself and accept that she's an adult, and a lot of times, like I tell her, she's right about most things.
Working with my mother, we spend so much time together, and it's very rewarding to be able to spend that much time. I think like as I'm getting older, I just like appreciate it more and more. I think that working together works really well for us because we know how to lean into the areas of our interests and where we have the most strength with the brand. And I think that really for my mother, we lean on a lot of her personal stories and familial heritage, and she's really like the anchor of who House of AAMA is, and you know, we wouldn't be House of AAMA without her.
My constant motto is staying open and curious about what the day has to bring, places I'm going to go, people I'm going to meet, and experiences I'm going to have. What I love most about this particular work is the research and continuously discovering new nuances of African people, African American people, African people in the diaspora, and just discovering the rich heritage and history that we have, and just mining that in terms of stories that we want to tell.
AAMA is the community that comes from creativity and the community that comes from like running a fashion brand, and there's so many parts to it, and I don't think people realize all of these parts, but it's like the community that you build through, you know, working with the textiles and, you know, wherever you want to go with that, whether it's like making fabrics or embroidery work, or, you know, you want to work with a small artisan. So there's that community, but then there's also the community of the people that you work creatively, like photography, video, you know, styling. Like you create all of these communities through the work, and I think that that's something that gets really like that gets me going, because I have the ability to pick and choose who it's going to be, and you know, learning more. And I think that for me, like just being explorative in that way has always been like really exciting in running the business.
If you were
something I continue to tell myself is that I'm excited for like the new life of AAMA, and it's because like we've had the brand since I was in high school. It's been 11 years, and we've been able to accomplish a lot as entrepreneurs. When you accomplish a lot, but then there's so much path to go, you realize that sometimes it's where you need to be excited is the next breath. You know, what will be the new lessons that you learn? What will be the new things, the new pathways that you have to break through, and the new struggles that you have to find? And I think through our experiences, we've had to learn so much so fast. And now I'm just excited to see how, with realizing all of that and just learning even more about the business itself, like where we will take House of AAMA, I feel confident that we'll be able to do it.